Welcome to Giving Finance the Oversight It Deserves, an expert practices discussion brought to you by the Controllers Council. My name is Neil Brown, Executive Director of the Controllers Council. And before I introduce our expert panelists and our partner sponsor, let me share some brief housekeeping items. This webinar is CPE eligible with 4 polling questions, so please answer each poll. And if not CPE, answer to benchmark your peers. Also regarding CPE, you must attend for at least 50 minutes, and we'll have a quick survey at the end of the presentation, so please complete the survey for CPE. Next, we'll have Q&A at the end of the presentation, so use your control panel to ask our experts questions. And finally, you'll receive a link to this webcast via email in the next 24 hours, so no need for notes or screenshots. So today we're joining Agicap and RP Rally Point Tactical's finance leaders, Brandon Barnes and Michael Gwinn, for a candid outlook or a look at how modern controllers move from fragmented spreadsheets to real-time cash visibility. We'll cover direct method forecasting, AI categorization, debt amortization built into the forecast, and automated AP, AR with the playbook RP Tactical actually use. But before we get to that, I'll give you just a little snapshot of Agicap. They're #1 in the world in cash flow management SaaS solutions for North America and European SMBs and mid-market companies with over 8,000 customers, 600 plus employees, and 185 million are raised in VC funding. Congratulations. And 150 plus commercial and technology partnerships. These are some of the logos in the Agicap universe here. Big name clients like McDonald's, PE funds backing our clients, who's who there, and tech and commercial partnerships. So with that, I'm very pleased to introduce our speakers today and our subject matter experts. Michael Gwinn is Financial Controller at Rally Point Tactical, and Brandon Barnes is Senior Account Executive at Agicap, and he's based in Austin, Texas. So Brandon, Michael, welcome, and I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Neil. Appreciate everyone hopping on today. Just a quick outline of what we're going to cover. Mike and myself go over kind of how Agicap can help build more of a direct method cash forecast syncing to your bank accounts and your ERP. We'll discuss a little bit about some of the advancements on the accounts payable side and how you can avoid overspend on your purchase requests, having guardrails for different budgets and specific departments. Three-way matching, accounts receivable, managing that process as well. Reconciliation in terms of how transactions from the bank and your accounting tool can line up. And really just highlight how real-time data can make treasury functions more efficient and provide more strategic insight. So I think we've got one poll question before we dig into a bit of the use case with Mike and the Rally Point team. If we want to go ahead and throw that up, Neil.
Oh yeah, the poll's in a couple of slides. We're just got a little introduction here before we go into that. So meet the Rally Point Tactical, okay, the customer story, and then we get into our polls. So let's go ahead and launch that. Yep. And there it is. Okay, where is your company at with automation and AI in your finance back office? Select one of the following. So this is our first of 4 poll questions for CPE or to benchmark your peers. So take a few moments. All answers are anonymous and confidential. And we'll just take a quick look at the results. And maybe Brandon and Michael will refer to some of these results as they go through their information sharing.
Yeah, lines up with a lot of what I see in the marketplace, and I know Mike can relate to this, given that they were previously in that second category of just trying to evaluate what automation options were out there to help the entire finance team, just improve efficiencies and be more strategic. So excited to touch on that for everyone today.
Yeah, we were definitely in that second category there, evaluating different options, trying to figure out what fit us and what would help us grow.
All right, well, let's take a peek. And 46% planning or evaluating automation options, the leader by far, almost a majority. And then that's followed by 27% that are implementing specific workflows and 11% not implementing automation and 16% not sure. So great, let's close that and we'll keep moving here. All right, take it away.
All right. So I am the controller of Rally Point Tactical. We specialize in tactical equipment to our defense team and military forces, along with first responders. Our story kind of begins with a small company, because that's what we are. We are a small business. We do between about 4 to 6 million in revenue every year. And there's only really 13 employees. We do have co-ownership against two other companies, one called BMK Ventures and Marketing Assessment. All still small companies, but all work in the same realm. But as we're trying to grow, we found that we had some issues with cash flow. We struggled to know where our cash flow was, and we also struggled to determine when cash flow would come in and how far behind or ahead we would be at a given point of a month. And that led us to our search for a AI software that could help us bridge those gaps. And that's where I met Brandon, who introduced me the first day to Agicap. And as you see with the slide up, the reality of the situation was we were, like I said, lagging in cash visibility. We had some fragmented systems. Before Agicap, we were using, I want to say, 3 or 4 systems to kind of pull numbers together. We were working off something called Trello. We were working off another one called Fishbowl, and that's before we even get to working and getting anything into QuickBooks. So we were pulling information from kind of all over the place to kind of put together the best books possible, which was really time consuming. We were spending hours upon hours going back and forth between these systems just to kind of pull together a report.
And Mike, just to take a step back in terms of Rally Point, when you first joined and the growth in the previous years, was there a moment even outside of the finance team, like, of course, like you highlighted here, the fragmented systems and there are gaps in cash flow visibility, but just from an overall company vision where you kind of hit that next level of where y'all were trying to get to and that extra growth just required more of you? Did that kind of like happen overnight? Was that gradual?
We all 3 companies, honestly, were growing and with nice progress in front of us. And we got to a point where we really decided that we were going to take all 3 of these companies and we wanted to consolidate them eventually. But we didn't have the processes in place to move forward effectively. And that was also a big concern for us moving forward, because if we're going to grow right, you have to have the software behind you that's really going to help you. Where we were at was too spread out, a little too all over the place for us to make that move to combine all these companies. And I would say this year, thanks to Agicap, we're looking to finally put all three companies under umbrella coming in July, actually. So that's and that's large in part to you guys. What you're seeing up on the screen now is our old cash flow management sheet. I'm sure for a lot of you, this is probably very recognizable, a very long spreadsheet trying to figure out where your money's been spent and where it's going. And this is how we did it for a very long time. And it just doesn't work as you're trying to scale your company up.
And Mike, could you also go into the different sources that you were pulling all these transactions from, and I guess what was kind of the before in terms of where you had to check to even gather all this info? Because I'm sure for a lot of folks that are watching, they probably have a similar manual process.
Absolutely. Obviously, a lot of some of this you're pulling from the bank. So some of this we're pulling from our company credit cards. Other other issues we're having is that we got owners cards kind of floating around, so I'm pulling stuff from there too, knowing I got to cycle money back to those cards. And then outside of that, obviously we have some automated pools that are coming out of our bank stuff that's not ACH from us. So if something gets missed, then all of a sudden I'm out, $10,000. I'm not sure why. So now I'm going to have to go back, find out what happened, who missed putting in an entry, who missed this, and then now I'm scrambling for cash because somebody missed something. And that's just kind of the reality of the situation when you're a small company. If you don't have that oversight that you really need, something's going to get missed. There's human error happens. There's no way around that. But yeah, we're pulling these numbers that you see in front of us. That's coming from probably about 3 to 4 different sources, I would say, between bank, Amex cards, credit processors, all over, really kind of spread out all over the place. And unfortunately, it's hard to make all that work and get it all into one place, which we use QuickBooks Desktop. It's hard to kind of make that all sync in together in a timely fashion.
And was this updated daily or weekly, Mike?
Oh, that spreadsheet, we went through that daily. Yeah. Unfortunately, we had to go through that daily. And yeah, I would say we're spending a good hour between 2 to 3, maybe bouncing back and forth for that about an hour a day. So you can say it's about 3 to 4 hours between myself and other employees bouncing back to see where our cash is at, especially depending on what events happen that day. Why we started looking for the tool. Yeah, it's but there were fire drills, a lot of fire drills. A lot of people in the company say that my second hat is a fireman because I'm putting out fire drills on a daily basis. And that usually comes around us either needing cash, somebody needing cash from us, or something getting missed, which this is gonna kind of kept happening. So that's part of why we started looking for the solution to make those errors be less frequent. Now, with that being said, we're also trying to grow as a company, and we know that the audits are coming up, and we want to have good books with some confidence behind them to be able to have those being looked at on a yearly basis. But right now, we're still technically a small company, but if we want to grow, we know that's coming. We do have 2 audits every year that come through here, and it had I would say prior to this past year, it had kind of been a little bit of a headache to keep everything clean and make sure everything was good enough for them. This past one though has been much smoother. Everything's kind of in one spot. We have backups from our QuickBooks to Agicap, and makes everything kind of run a lot smoother. And next year coming up after the consolidation, I'm hoping that Agicap will really help with joining everything together to make that process even smoother than it's been this past year. And besides for that, it's just a daily process. Sorry, we're going to the poll question yet.
No, go ahead.
And besides for that, though, I have a young team behind me. A couple of them are actually fresh out of college. They're going to make mistakes. Agicap has been their check to their work, to their own work, to make sure that everything's going in right. It's really probably cut down on our errors. I'd probably say about 75, 80%.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get to our second poll then. And that is, what are your automation priorities? Select all that apply. So please take a few moments. Again, anonymous and confidential. We only have 5 answer options here, so we had to combine some here. So take a few moments, please.
For everybody in the first category, that was our start too.
Yeah, I think even just across the board, removing Agicap and cash flow forecasting from the equation, I think this lines up with what I see with the other initiatives that a lot of our customers are working on too. I know financial reporting and close has been a hot topic of the past, I'd say 6-9 months. A lot of new capabilities with AI to be able to help reconcile and match up transactions a lot quicker. And on the AP side as well, I've seen a lot of that across the board, whether it's within our own platform or just from larger organizations using other accounts payable tools as well. But if we could wave a magic wand, we'd be automating everything, right? So kind of comes down to picking what you want to start with and what's the most easy to bite off.
Yeah,
Well,
I know for us it was definitely the cash flow to start off with. It was why we started with the treasury module, because we were trying to get our cash flow under control first. And then I see like a lot of people were hitting I believe the financial reporting and the closing. Agicap has gone a long way to help with that, especially from when I first started, because when I first got into this position, actually, we did not have like a monthly close. So everything was kind of sitting there open for the full year before somebody actually sat down and did a deep dive into it. So luckily, Agicap came in about a year after I had kind of position. So I was very grateful to have them kind of come in and help pretty things up a little bit.
And you are correct. The cash flow forecasting 49% tied with financial reporting and close at 49%. And AP automation 41, AR automation 26. So good stuff. Let's get back to the presentation.
So Brandon, I don't know if you wanted me to start here, but let's just because the question is why Agicap. So while I was going through my search, I was checking out a lot of different AI tools that can be used in the background before landing on Agicap. There was Uplink, there was Bags, there was a ramp system. All these companies had a lot of good and positive things with them, but they're usually missing one of the two things. They could do ARAP, but they couldn't do the cash flow. They had cash flow, no ARAP, or they couldn't. There wasn't a forecastability. Whatever the case may be. When I finally found Agicap kind of had all that bundled together already, and they were not only had everything bundled together, they were still growing with it. We've been with Agicap since a little while, since last year now, and I believe like the AI tools are still being developed and still moving forward, and we've been using some of that even in our weekly reporting. So I'm really glad we chose Agicap. But like I said, what puts it above what I think the rest of the ones that I was shopping around is that the implementation was fast and they already had the whole package together.
Yeah, just in terms of how we help taking folks through the process. Generally, like the average customer sees their implementation take anywhere between 1 and 3 months. Obviously, some customers are very complex in terms of having several banks, several entities, multiple ERPs to connect to. But Michael's use case wasn't too exotic for us. So you might go into kind of the timing and what it looked like to work with our team to get Agicap up and running at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the very beginning, we were given I wanted to say it was like a 6 to 8 weeks was the expected kind of completion time on things. We moved a lot faster than that actually. I think it would take about it would say a month probably to finally have Agicap like maybe up and running in our systems and spitting out the data that we're looking for. All three of my companies are were on technically at the time on QuickBooks Desktop, which probably made that a little bit longer process than it would have been. I think if you're on QuickBooks Online or any other version of QuickBooks, that is actually probably, I would say, cut that time in half, honestly. And the great thing is that they really take you through it at your pace and your schedule. They walk you through every module. They show you how to use it. It's honestly, they really do a great job teaching you the software versus just kind of handing it to you and saying, no, here you go. As they're connecting you and mapping everything out for you, they really walk you through making at least until the point where you feel comfortable with it.
And do you feel like after that month, Mike, it was like completely removed, the old spreadsheets, that cash sheet that you showed a screenshot of earlier? When did you kind of fully switch over as part of y'all's internal reporting? And
I'm a little bit of a dinosaur, so it didn't happen right away. But I would say maybe a month into it, I kind of noticed like I really don't need the spreadsheets anymore. And trust me, the fellows underneath me were happy to get rid of them too. But yeah, it took about a month of just to find trust with the software. Once I saw it in action though, and I could actually go in and have it, especially with some of the new AI stuff you guys have, I can go in and ask for a graph of what my next 30-day customer inflow looks like, and it takes that data and spits it out to me within a minute. Yeah, then I was able to kind of let the spreadsheet go.
And one other question, was there anything that surprised you, Mike, in terms of that first month of going through the implementation process? Because I remember from being in the process with you and the rest of the team, helping go through your evaluation before you eventually decided to start with Agicap, kind of explaining what the process would be like, and wanted to make sure it was realistic and helping y'all understand the work that would be required of both parties, us helping to make the connections and y'all, of course, learning the platform and working with our team. But was there anything that surprised you in terms of being a lot quicker, a lot easier, or even a lot harder? I mean, you could say that as well.
That surprised me. I think it's probably how fast we actually started utilizing it. Like I said, I think I was expecting it to take about like you said, almost 2 months, just because we had a lot of data. We're pulling it from quite a different few places. So I was expecting it to take a little bit longer before we started utilizing it. And yeah, I'd say a month into it, we were kind of ready to rock and roll with it. If I had to give like a specific thing that surprised me is that you guys were able to pull data from a system I wasn't expecting you guys to be able to pull data from, like our inventory system that does some of our POs and sales orders, and we're able to kind of feed that into Agicap and to help spit out our forecasting numbers. That part really surprised me, and we've been using that a lot to kind of navigate our years. So no, that was probably the biggest surprise to me.
Okay. Well, let's get to our next poll then. Poll number 3. What is your biggest cash flow management challenge today? Please take a few seconds. Options, lack of real-time visibility across accounts, time spent on manual data consolidation, inaccurate and outdated forecasts, late customer payments and collections, not sure or don't know.
Based on my experience, I'm going to say it's going to be the time spent. That is the true saver here.
Yeah, sounds like from your spreadsheets to Agicap, that would have been
About to say, yeah,
manual.
on spreadsheet, the guy. That's right.
Yeah. So we'll give you a few more seconds, please, and close it out. And we got a lot of smart people on the line, so they're voting fast. And as you mentioned, it is time spent on manual data consolidation for 40%, followed by lack of real-time visibility for 26%, late customer payments collections 13%, and inaccurate, outdated forecasts. Any surprises here, gentlemen?
No, not really. Like I said, time spent on, and I'm sure everybody who voted for that has a spreadsheet of their own that they're trying to figure out how to get out of. Yeah, going in and out of those on a daily basis, this takes up a big chunk of the workday. It does. Now the lack of lack of real time visibility, yeah, that's an issue when it comes to forecasting out, deciding how you can spend, what you need to spend on, who needs to be paid. And I'd say that Agicap kind of takes care of quite a bit of both of those, honestly, especially on the time saved and the lack of abilities. I know we kind of haven't got to it yet, but Agicap does make it possible to almost do a daily rec without at instance notice. So I think that helps there a lot.
All right, let's close out of that and get to part 3, Life with Agicap.
Yeah, the new routine. As I mentioned before, when using the old spreadsheets, putting in and out manual data on a daily basis, you're talking about hours out of the day, from more than just myself, even from other people on the team as well. And we are down to basically that 5 to 10 minute window where we're looking for something. Agicap's probably going to tell us before we know. It's going to spit it out to us, let us know that something's wrong. And I would say one of the best parts about Agicap, I just mentioned a little while ago, actually, is that it basically has the AI behind it that essentially does a daily rec for you. As long as everything's matched up and the data's in there right, it will honestly wreck your accounts for you that day. It's probably one of the neater features behind it is the reconciliation part of the treasury module. It comes in very handy. And for those who were saying that visibility on your cash was an issue, the daily rec and also the forecasting will take it. It has saved us tremendously amount of time, saved us tremendously as far as spend on it.
Anything about the monthly then that close the books and
Oh, because we have essentially the daily AI tool behind us, the monthly close is actually kind of already. Okay, yeah, the monthly close is essentially already done. At this point, when you get to the end of your month, you're really just reviewing and taking a couple minutes to make sure everything matches out, see what came in and out for the month, and you're essentially done. It really does kind of take the work out of what would be sit down and do a rec depending on how many transactions you do in a month. Could be talking, I know for us, you're talking about probably a couple hundred transactions. For bigger companies, up to 1,000 transactions going back and forth that need to be wrecked at the end of a month. But I think with lot of my previous jobs prior to this, a monthly close would probably end on the next month, probably between day 5 and day 8 usually. You can close the books on day 2 if you really had to right now. That's the confidence I actually have in Agicap with the conciliation. It's very nice feature to have.
And I've heard the term continuous close recently. Is that getting close to that then?
Yeah. We're getting to that point. A continuous close. You mean essentially closing the books on essentially on a daily basis. But yeah, we're getting to that point. I'd say that once we probably have a full year of Agicap under belt, and I see everything. I think at that point, yeah, we'll start closing books on a daily basis because it's kind of too easy, honestly.
Well, don't tell your employer that. Why have all this extra time?
Trust me. When we brought in Agicap, I had a couple of you underneath us asking if they were getting replaced. I was like, no, you're not getting replaced. but you're gonna learn new software though.
Oh, good. All right, Brandon, are we bringing this over to you then?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's going to be able to highlight just a little bit in a demo, and I'm going to kind of speak to a bit about how Mike and the team used the tool today. So should be sharing my screen now. Can y'all see it okay, fellas?
It's a beauty. Yes.
Excellent. I wish I could say I designed it myself, but unfortunately I just get to smile and talk about it. So just to summarize some of what Mike talked about earlier, the data that is being pulled in from the bank, that's all these historical transactions that we see in the past few months here. We can, go back well in the past as well. But all of these transactions are being pulled in from the bank account connection. Doesn't matter if it's a large bank, Chase, Wells Fargo, great. If it's a small regional bank, we can connect directly to those banks as well, just via SFTP or where the bank sends the BAI2 files to us. Then the expected transactions is where Mike talked about getting the QuickBooks data in so we can visualize the expected transactions. And Mike, could you walk through just verbally, I'm going to highlight how we show the transactions in the environment from the bank and from QuickBooks, and how did y'all build out the initial categories for tracking cash, both just in terms of how you group them and then how the AI in the background was able to organize them for you?
Yeah, sure. Well, luckily for us, prior to Agicap, we had our classes already set up, so we knew what we wanted our classes to be. So that part was pretty simple. Going in and doing your categorization, you can give it a class and to track which sales team essentially is bringing. That part was fairly easy. I think the part that a little bit of time was the initial categorization of expecteds that came in after that, because as you use the software, it then starts to learn what your expecteds really need to be categorized as. So I think it was teaching it the ins and outs, especially coming in and out of the bank, what it was categorized. But you really only had to do it for, I'd say, the first time. After the first time, the AI kind of picks up on it and will mark it for the next month and see that it's a recurring thing that's going to keep coming out the bank. It's a recurring, even with revenue coming in, it recognizes the customer. So it essentially, yeah, I'd say going through the one time with enough for the AI to kind of pick up on it, and then from there you're really just double checking behind it for a little while until you have confidence.
Yeah, awesome to hear. And that's On average, what we see from customers is after going through it the first time and seeing the first wave of transactions come through in the onboarding process, it's 95% automated moving forward after the AI learns your environment. So that's both expected transactions coming from QuickBooks or whatever ERP it is. It could be NetSuite or Sage, could be something where we have a direct connection. It could be an industry specific tool like maybe a point click care in the healthcare field, or Yardi on more property management. Like there are numerous tools that we connect to, similar to how Mike talked about their QuickBooks environment. We're just exporting the expected transactions from the tool, and Agicap is able to ingest those and then sort them into the categories. So as you need to go through your forecast for a monthly view or even a daily view to see how cash is moving day in and day out, the same principle applies, where the categories that you set in the platform, we're going to automatically pull the transactions from QuickBooks or the bank account if they're marked as paid, from the bank, of course, and then the expected's all coming from your accounting tool. So this is where you're able to build the forecast on top of that data. And Mike, in terms of what you brought in outside of QuickBooks, maybe there was payroll data or rent, or like you mentioned earlier, some of your sales pipeline numbers. Can you talk about how you brought those additional figures in so you had visibility on that aspect of your cash flow?
So all three companies keep we keep a what we call open sales report. And what we did was we exported that data into Agicap to essentially take care of the forecasting because of our sector that we work in. We work on a very seasonality with our sales. So we'll go through the beginning of the year, like right now. Not too much going on. The government doesn't spend a lot right now. The defense and government, though, when by the end of the summer, they're going to spend basically every single dollar they have left. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to see how much cash in hand we need to get through our rough seasons, and just to make it to the point where we know all the money is being spent, and we know that come the end of the year, we end up in a very positive situation. We took our open sales data, because we already know the orders are coming later on the year. We put those into Agicap, and then we shot that out in the forecast so we could, so myself and the rest of management, we can determine the cash that we need to save for first quarter of the year through the summer. It really comes in very handy with letting us know where we're going to end the year at, honestly.
Awesome. Yeah, and just highlighting here how that forecast value, similar to how Mike described, could be built out either based on a recurring number. We could use other categories or other data points that are ingested in the platform, or even just create a more advanced formula leveraging percentages and especially highlighting that seasonality. Like he said, that's pretty common for folks that need to track their inflows and project what those are going to be. And last use case to dig into, you talked a lot about the reconciliation earlier, and how because we are able to pull in bank transactions and the expected transactions from QuickBooks, we're able to put them side by side, and ideally, if everything matches up nicely, because you have the right information in QuickBooks, we'll be able to automatically reconcile those transactions. So could you just revisit what you talked about earlier while we've got the visual up of how the team works in the reconciliation module on a daily basis?
Yep, absolutely. So like I said, the reconciliation can honestly happen on a daily basis now for us. The best, and I know you're showing the manual side right now, but once you kind of go through it a couple times, actually, what's going to start happening is that Agicap will start learning these transactions and go in and start reconciling them themselves. I'm not sure if you have the automatic one up here, but if you, there they are. Yeah, there's some of them.
Yeah, just an old example where it matched up. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So the more you use the reconciliation early on, the AI behind Agicap will recognize these transactions, start reconciling them automatically. And everything else is that's going to come in, say your customer inflows, perchance, if you have the data and they're right, it will start recognizing that, will start reconciling it on its own without your oversight on it. Like I said, I'm a dinosaur. When it first started happening, I wanted to go back in and double check to make sure everything is right on the money. And it's taken me a while to completely trust the AI behind it. But the more you use it, the more the AI is going to essentially slowly take over for you. And really, you're just going back in you can do it on a daily basis, you can weekly, monthly, have whatever you feel is comfortable for your company. But you're really just going in and giving it some oversight, saying, yep, that's right. We're good to go. Month close. And
Awesome.
that's it's one of the neater features behind Agicap right now, in my opinion.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate the feedback on all of that, Mike. And I know, I'm kind of showing a couple different pieces. Just want to give folks a taste of all the different views of daily, longer term cash visibility as well. But I know we've got a couple more slides to get into to talk about more of kind of what life looks like after using Agicap for Mike and the rest of the team. And then I know y'all expanded the scope recently outside of just the core treasury functionality. So we'll be touching on that in another slide or two as well. So Neil, back to you to toss open the slides again.
Okay, thank you. All right, ROI.
Has visibility on the
Just
slide.
waiting on it to come through. Hadn't loaded yet.
Yeah.
Do you see the ROI slide?
No, it has not popped up yet.
Oh, Hannah, is there anything you can do? I see it on mine. You see it now?
You see the whole PowerPoint.
Yep, there we go.
There you go. Yep.
Oh, good.
Oh, perfect.
Sorry about that.
Perfect. So the ROI, we kind of already spoke on some of it, but obviously the close cycle much faster, especially me coming in from a point where they didn't have a monthly close. So I had to start my own, and then we bumbled through that for a while, and then now we're at the point where, like I said, you can want to close your books on daily, you probably could do so, which is awesome, because that is the probably the highest compliment you can give somebody, their accounting team, that they can close their books on a daily basis. The cash visibility is definitely nice. And like I said, there's a lot of people who said they don't have visibility on when their cash is coming in and going out. Agicap definitely solves that. I don't think we had a chance to actually show it there, but there is a view where you can kind of break it down on a daily to see what your transactions are that are coming in and out the bank. But so it's definitely there. The errors, I've talked on that at the very beginning. Like I said, we've cut down on our errors probably close to 75-80%, and that's definitely with the help of Agicap in the background. And for me, the team capacity there that you see, like I said, we're a small company. My accounting team is really 4 or 5 people. That's it. So we needed a little help in the backside, especially as we grow, because more transactions that are happening, all 3 companies are growing, and we were either going to have to hire, outsource, or do something. Agicap actually came in and kind of helped us say, like, the team we have is actually big enough to take care of all these needs.
Okay. What's next?
Perfect.
So I know y'all are still on the new side to
this
these additional sections of the platform, Mike, but What kind of drove the expansion on y'all's end, bringing in all this other capability in addition to the treasury and cash automation?
Honestly, because the treasury module was so good, we kind of did our own little research in the background to see what the AR and AP module were about. Seeing that it actually could fit for what we need, and seeing how that if you take your AR and the AP module, all it does is feed into the treasury module with even more accurate data, and that's all. And honestly, that's what we need, the most accurate data possible. And also our AR has, because anybody knows who deal with the government, AR, getting the government to pay sometimes can be like pulling teeth a little bit. But what the AR module had behind it was a automatic collections feature with it. So like 5 days prior to my invoice need to be paid, it's sending an invoice out to the contracting officer, letting them know like, hey, this needs to be ready to be paid, so on and so forth. And that part is the part that we're really hoping that's going to help us push our receivables closer to it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be 30 days, but if we can get it closer to 35, 40, I'd be very happy with our receivables. As far as the AP is concerned, because we work on kind of seasonality things, we do have vendors who say we have vendors who know the seasonality of things, but we keep inventory of their products. So sometimes we have to almost pick and choose on when to pay them, because we like to match out our payments with our items sometimes. Luckily, we have pretty good terms with a lot of our vendors, so they're willing to work with us. The AP module will just help us automate those payments out to them. And that's the hopes for. I know we just, like Brandon said, we just kind of got started with both the AI, and I'm hoping to help push those both further, and then obviously feed into a treasury model to make it even more accurate than it already is. Now with the AI fraud detection one, that one I don't know too much about. Brandon, if you wanted to speak on that one.
More so just kind of wrapping up with all the other modules. It's kind of another piece of the AI that we're adding into the platform, being able to recognize unusual activity in the back end. So that'll be something that we continue to grow in as we get more visibility and the AI continues to learn more about what's happening in the environment. And next, just to wrap up in terms of the key takeaways on the next slide, whether it's Agicap or not, and Mike, feel free to add any color to this as well, but pick your source of truth. I talk to a lot of teams, again, whether they're using Agicap or if they're still in Excel, that struggle having so many systems that they're pulling data from. So work, if you can, towards consolidating as much as possible so that your cash data is not spread too thin across all your different banks or different systems. Make sure you've got a cash specific forecast model. Make sure it's built off of that cash logic when it's actually going to be in hand or leaving your accounts, as opposed to just the accruals basis, or whether you have the annual budget or balance sheet that you're projecting off of. Key to make sure that you're viewing it from a cash lens. AI can help enhance a lot of the workload. I've seen a lot of people talk about use cases with Claude or ChatGPT and Excel recently, and there's a lot that those tools can do to help really put sprinkles on the cupcake with the work that you're doing. But I'm sure Michael can attest to this. It's not going to bake the cupcake for you. It's not going to do all of the work. It certainly will enhance. So let it absorb kind of the that extra piece and where some of the manual work comes from, like categorization, like reconciliation. That's where assistive AI can help. There are still some areas where assistive AI can't help as much in the cash visibility cycle. So make sure you're working on the right things that are attainable with the technology that we have in our hands today. And then really sequencing the rollout and having visualization into the step-by-step process that you're taking to put together a forecast that you're viewing the transactions coming in your account, leaving your account. Important that you have eyes on cash first. That way you can continue to grow into longer term forecasting, kind of like Mike and the team have expanded into more AP and AR automation. Start with the fundamentals and then continue to improve on some of the accessories over time. Mike, is there anything else you'd add to that before we go to the last poll?
Yeah, I would just want those who were in that category of time spent and visibility on your cash flow. Agicap can solve both of those. I would suggest if you up with the treasury module, like the treasury module really is kind of the key that brings everything together for you. And like I said, if you're having problems with both of those, the treasury module will can give you a daily visibility on your cash, along with taking care of that lengthy cash flow sheet, Excel sheet that you're probably already looking at.
All right. Well, let's go to our last poll then. And this one's an easy one. We won't talk about it. Just take a few seconds here. Do you want more information on AI and automation for cash flow management from Agicap? So please give us your feedback. As always, anonymous and confidential. And we won't spend any time going over this one. A few more seconds, please. And it looks like everyone's voted. All right, so let us we're moving on to Q&A. So let's little direction, audience reminder to use your GoToWebinar control panel to ask questions. Get to as many as possible. Got a first question here from the audience. What type of training is required for managing this type of automation? Who can use this tool? Any pre-requirements? You want to take that?
I mean, I can definitely jump on that. Since
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
No, there's no required training that's needed prior to using this. I would say, especially with the way the implementation is done, you probably don't even have to really have much of an accounting background to be able to understand how Agicap works. I think that the Agicap team does a great job as of walking you through everything to the point where you're comfortable. So no, there is no prerequisite needed for being able to use Agicap.
Okay. I got another question here. How long does it take to implement a solution like Agicap? I think you kind of referred to that, but why don't we revisit that?
Yeah, we mentioned earlier, like with Mike and Rally Point, took about a month or so to really start using the tool. On average, anywhere from a couple weeks to about 3 months or so. We obviously work with a lot of different scales and scopes in terms of customers, with the number of banks that need to be connected, the number of ERPs that need to be connected. So could vary slightly, but that's a pretty common range. And it's all guided with calls from teammates of mine here in the Austin office to help get the team up to speed.
Nice. Okay. We've got a question from Martina Schomacher that asks, what standard dashboards are included?
Out of the box, really just kind of standard cash reporting, cash forecasting visibility. But a key to going through the onboarding process is talking through like what are the key exec data points that they want to see. And Mike, maybe you can even speak to something that you built out with the Agicap team or just built out through onboarding to kind of give the executives a view of cash better.
Yeah, sure. I know for me personally, we do a what we call a weekly huddle around here, and really just kind of going over the numbers of the sales team, and where they are at the year. I keep a dashboard specifically for that meeting just to kind of show how our sales are going for each category, on a weekly basis to see the improvement and where we're moving at through the year. So that's just a sample of one of the dashboards that you can make. But I would like to kind of mention that even though it's kind of in beta phase, they actually now have an AI tool behind the dashboard creation too, where you can simply type in what you're looking for, and the AI will spit out a dashboard to match what it is you're asking. So, like I said, I know it's still in beta, but I've already used it a couple times. Actually, it does work.
Nice.
Good to hear. Good to hear, Mike.
Yep.
And Michael, last question here oh, wait, we got a couple more questions, but what was the biggest change in your job duties since implementing Agicap?
A lot less fire drills. Yeah. There's some predictability to my days to the now that we kind of have Agicap in place. If we're going to be in a cash shortage, I get ahead of it. I let vendors know, like, hey, money's coming on this day and this day for you and you. I was coming in on this day, so I can make those promises guaranteed. So there's no more walking into an office where we got team members rushing me like I need help with this and that. Everything's a little bit more predictable these days, and that is large in part to Agicap.
And do you get to take a vacation once a year now, or?
No, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
maybe after the consolidation, yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, let's wrap up here. Learn more about Agicap by scanning this. You'll get this video archive will be sent to you via email in the next 24 hours, and you'll be able to scan this if you'd like. You can scan it now. You can reach out to Brandon on LinkedIn, Brandon Barnes 1, or his email. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for your time, and Michael Gwinn and Brandon Barnes for your great insights today and your careful preparation. Thank you for that. Thanks to our partner and sponsor, Agicap, a leader in cash flow management, automation, and more. And certainly thanks to all of you, our attendees, and great success to you in 2026 and beyond. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.